live broadcast. So this now should be live. For those of you just tuning in or joining us, stand by. We're just confirming that this is working. So according to my team, this appears to be broadcasting. Lawrence, give me one quick second just to take this. Hello? Yeah, go ahead. Okay, perfect. All right, thank you. Lawrence, congratulations. We're on. We're on. So, the dynamic is a little different this time. Normally, these conversations are pre-produced. And today we're going live. So, Lawrence, I'm going to hand it over to you, and we can kind of get into some of the topics that you had discussed. In fact, let me just say that the weekly meetings that Lawrence and I have usually happen in this sort of a format, where we talk about, what's going on in the industry, what some of the projects are that we're working on, and how they kind of fall into play with the needs of the industry. And today we thought, we'd kind of include you as part of the discussion, and unedited, totally raw, and include you to be kind of a part of this conversation, or at least like a fly on the wall to listen to what we have to talk about. So Lawrence, I'm gonna hand it over to you, and let's just start this like we normally would.
Yeah, great. So hi everyone out there. I'm Lawrence Stanlow from 3D Crystal, Cockpit 3D, and glad we have Riyaz with us. So as Riyaz said, I'm going to discuss a few things with him as we would normally do on a weekly basis. There's so many things that we could discuss today. So I thought we'd talk about Cockpit 3D today, because I get a lot of questions, which I fire off to you that you respond to at 4 a.m. So I'm glad that you're always that responsive 24/7, Riyaz. I don't know if that's a good thing, but it is a good thing. So I think we'll talk about Cockpit 3D today, and the software is multifaceted. It's got many different components. There's what is used by our 3D artists internally, that are staffed and trained by us for optimization, and to handle the conversions that our laser operators around the world submit so that they can download their 3D files to do their own local burning. Then there's that side. Once you get your files, there's the pieces of the Cockpit 3D software that the laser operators can enjoy for further flexibility. So I'm gonna kind of leave it at that, because further flexibility kind of opens up the conversation. Okay, well, what kind of further flexibility does the laser operator enjoy?
Okay, so a couple things. First of all, on Cockpit 3D, let's just get back to basics. Is the audience right now that's watching might be a consumer, might be a someone that's competing in the subsurface engraving space, might be someone that's a collaborator wanting to get into the business, right? So what is Cockpit 3D? You kind of summed it up quite well. The way I'd want you to think about Cockpit 3D is essentially it is a solution for you to be able to run your business and generate some awesome 3D models without having to have the upfront overhead investment of a 3D artist on staff. Okay, so you've got your laser, you're ready to rock and roll, you're ready to produce crystals and sell them to your consumer. Someone gives you a photo and says, here, I want this made to 3D. What are you doing? And how are you doing it? Well, traditionally, you'd have to hire 3D artists to model it for you, because chances are most business owners are not specialists in 3D modeling, right? So they'd hire an artist, $80 an hour, and have that artist generate the 3D. Versus with Cockpit 3D, or this idea that we had, is essentially all you need to do is upload that photo to the server, and have a pool of our 3D artists model it for you. So essentially, it's a pay-as-you-play. Okay, you don't.
It sounds expensive.
And that's a good point. Is that it's not expensive at all. The whole idea, if it was expensive, it wouldn't be a good solution. A couple dollars is all it takes to being able to upload your photo, having it modeled to 3D within a couple hours. And this used to take days, and now you're talking a few hours, and you just download the file back, and away you go. So that really is what Cockpit 3D Essentials. Cockpit 3D then is the software. So once you've received the file back, you are now opening it up in the software that enables you to size it to the crystal size that the customer requested, to put the inscription that you wanted. So you have a lot of flexibility, and also being the artist. We say in our tagline right there, is where art meets science, right? So yes, you're running a business, you're selling a cool product, but you're very much involved in science when it comes to the laser side, and the art as well when it comes to having a hand in that final file preparation using Cockpit 3D.
So you mentioned a couple of things. You mentioned sizing. You mentioned selecting a specific crystal shape. So what about Adobe Photoshop, which comes up all the time? Well, don't I just need Adobe Photoshop? So I guess what I'm asking is, what I get a lot of questions around is the differentiation between optimization and the actual conversion from 2D to 3D, and how those two things handshake.
Well, when someone is looking to get into this business, what do they want? They want to have the best. In fact, people are going to market on their website, buy from us because we have the best quality, okay? Now, what is it that gives you the best quality? So I say that there's a few factors that lead to the final quality in the output of the crystal that you're producing for your customer, okay? Most people think it's by spending the most on the laser, which it's not. All lasers are using 532 nm green beam lasers, okay? That's what most machines use. In the olden days, they'd use a red beam, which was a 1064. Simple terms, 1064, higher number, thicker beam. 532 is half of a 1064. Thinner beam, half the size. Thinner beam, finer points, better resolution. Okay, so all lasers today are using, all laser machines today are using green beam lasers. But what goes into producing good quality is not just the fine thinness of that beam, it is also how you prepare the file. So when someone gives you a photo, what are you doing to sharpen that photo? What are you doing to see that photo in a grayscale tone, increasing the contrasts and the brightness? And that's what we refer to as optimization. So you have the best quality texture image that you've prepared in Photoshop. And then you've got, second to that, the point assortment. Because you might have a good quality photo, you might have good quality 3D, but if you're not assorting those points in a certain way, you're not going to achieve the maximum potential of what you can with your laser in terms of HD resolution. It's not just about 3D crystals these days. I coined the term HD crystals. 3D and HD is both what you need in order to effectively compete and impress your customers in the marketplace.
So I was trying to explain to someone. I think I lost your video there for a second.
Oh, okay. Give me one quick second.
Okay.
All right. Sorry about that. I think our audio is still running. If the video is gone, then we'll just continue this discussion with me doing the audio and then a screen share as well. So we'll see how that goes. I'll also try restarting the camera to see if we can.
Oh, there you are. There you are.
All right, cool.
Okay, so
awesome.
I was trying to explain to someone who is, shopping for a laser. I kept saying points, points, points. The laser's firing points, and then the person said, "Can I think of it like a tattoo needle that's basically firing points on someone's skin, but we're doing it subsurface inside a crystal?" Is that a fair way to describe it?
Absolutely. That's exactly what it is. It is points. It's cracks. Think of them as small little cracks, or what we call microfractures. And when you have enough of these points at the right position with the right contrast and brightness, I can see you fine, Lawrence. Don't worry, it's good.
Okay.
It ends up creating that impression of the image inside the crystal. So definitely it points. The way I always thought of it is like kind of back in the day, the dot matrix printer. And if you, right, so if you look at the dot matrix, what was it? It was just a bunch of dots in a matrix that would create the impression of text.
But the laser's silent. Those things were noisy.
Exactly. And not only that, the laser is able to do, sorry, I'll just get that going again, but the laser is also able to do so many points. I mean, you're talking thousands of points in a second. And so remember the dot matrix, then how it turned into the inkjet and laser printers and the quality of those. Well, it's the same thing with the laser too. I mean, I can actually show you. Hang on a second. Let me share my screen. And
yeah, because actually, you were supposed to give me an update on a project that we're working on. So that was supposed to be what we were talking about.
Yeah, I have that. Actually, the team sent that to me. Can you
I'm curious to see what it looks like.
Can you see my screen here?
Not yet.
Okay, wait.
There we go. It's coming.
All right.
Okay, now I did.
All right. Before the licensing police people out there decide to make any comments on the fact that I've got Harry Potter's image here, this is a project that we're working on in conjunction with Warner Brothers. So it's not in its final form yet, but it's a project that my team was working on and shot over to me. So I can use this as just a quick demo here to show you. So let's say that this here is the image, right? That's provided. First of all, do you see how it's got all the contrast, the nice bright face here, and then the darkness in the hair, and that's the contrast that you want to create a good quality crystal. If you just look at a color image, it doesn't actually look like this. When you convert it to grayscale and then you apply contrast to it, by the way, we have optimization tutorials directly on our YouTube channel. So, we share exactly how to do this and how to prepare the photos when you get them back. When you get your 3D model back from Cockpit 3D artists. But essentially, this is the photo that's provided. See, it's so flat that you can't even see it from the side until I turn it. There you go. All right. Now, what I'll do is the artist has actually already made this 3D. So this is actually a 3D file, but you're seeing it visually flat. But all I have to do really is expand it here. Okay. And now, check that out.
Oh, neat!
Isn't that cool?
Wow! Look how the owl just pops right out of there. Oh, that's so cool.
This is all amazing vision, okay, of the 3D artists that are working on the projects, and they're always going through ongoing training to understand enhanced detailing and just outperforming anything that really is out there in the market today. Now,
so basically, digital modeling clay. I've heard you refer to this as.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a digital clay, a digital ball of clay that they're starting with, and then they're modeling it in the software. Now, what are you going to do with Cockpit 3D? So here, you can do your sizing. I mean, you can even change your template. In this case, it's not relevant, but if you wanted to do a heart, okay. But in this case, we're going to stick to the rectangle. So let me just...
So Riyaz, let me ask you. So, what kind of time savings can a laser operator enjoy by having those pre-configured templates already in the software?
Oh yeah, so exactly. So you can create your templates. If they're not already here, you can create your own customized ones and then save them. Okay, so it's all about saving time, especially during the heavy holiday season. And there's certain milestones throughout the year. You got Mother's Day, you got Father's Day, Valentine's Day. You've got the Black Friday, Thanksgiving, and Christmas, all leading up to that final 8 weeks of the year. It's all about every second that you can save, both on the software as well as in your production environment, wherever that might be, whether it's at retail, whether it's just mass production. Now, let me show you quality. Okay, so we just talked about Cockpit 3D. You get your file back, you size it. So we just did that here. Now, what about the third piece I talked about, which is point assortment, right? So usually when you get a laser, your laser manufacturer is going to tell you to do a point spacing of 0.10. Sometimes they might say 0.09. If I click on go, and there's your point cloud. Isn't that cool? Now, let me just say that the reason they're telling you to do your point spacing at 0.10 is because 0.10, which is 1/10 of a millimeter, might sound fractional to you, but actually it's quite a bit of space. 0.10 means what's the space between every point. So the space between, if I zoom in very, very tight, the space between this point and this point would be 1/10 of a millimeter, okay? Now, the reason they're telling you that is because they don't want the points to melt into each other and crack. Because then you've lost the crystal and you have to remake it, and then you complain to them because you're like, oh man, your laser is causing me problems, and so they play it safe. They tell you to go 0.10. Now,
okay, so I get a lot of questions that my crystal's cracking. Why is my crystal cracking? So the point assortment's too tight.
Point assortment is too tight, so they've gone 0.10, right? So when you go 0.10, it won't crack unless their power is jacked up too high. But that's something that generally, when they get their laser, it's already set. So 0.10 plays it safe with most softwares out there. Now, what Cockpit 3D does is it allows you to go as tight as 0.06 or 0.07. I'm going to be conservative and go 0.07, okay? And with 0.07, which other lasers will cause cracking on, Cockpit 3D assorts it in such a way that it will enable you to burn it that tight and have the higher resolution. Let me show you. If I click on go, watch the resolution now. Watch it, watch it, watch it. Keep watching the image. And there you go.
Aye.
Okay. So it's brighter, it's a higher resolution, it's less fuzzy, and now all of a sudden you're able to use that beautiful point assortment and tight point spacing to get that resolution because of Cockpit 3D. And by the way, you can also make this better by increasing your 3D on it, and it will pop even more. So hopefully that gives a little bit of an overview on the software. I know we wanted to keep this to call it around 20 minutes. We're already there. Time flies when you're having fun. It's but you know what? We can go maybe for a couple more minutes, and then I think we'll end this live session, and there's probably going to be some questions that come out of this that we can use for future sessions.
Okay, so you mentioned during this explanation other lasers. So I want to drill into that for a second. There are many lasers out there, all right, at various price points, from 14,000 up to 70,000 and everything in between. You designed your own line of 3D laser box lasers, and there's various models. So what's the advantage? Now, let's be clear. As a laser operator, our software works with all lasers, so let's be clear on that. However,
absolutely,
there must be an advantage to having one of your 3D laser boxes in conjunction with Cockpit 3D.
Right. So, and this is actually a lot of people call it Riyaz's 3D laser box. I want to be clear first of all is that the only reason that they're calling it Riyaz's 3D laser box, or why Lawrence is saying our laser, is because yes, we have been heavily involved in designing pencil to paper. That's what I do. I'm a designer. I draw things. I get into kind of the diagrams. I love it. I'll draw something, and then I'll even have it framed after the final, product is alive, and to show how it started. So yes, I draw things. We do the software, but we're not actually manufacturing these lasers. We are then having them assembled for us, and we are also encouraging anybody that is interested in what we use that they can also go ahead and purchase them from the assembler that we're purchasing from. So we're very, very open about that, okay? So, if you already have a laser and you're looking to get your second, third, or fourth laser, we use 3D Laser Box, and, I can tell you a few reasons why we do and why it was designed that way. So first of all, what we've done over the last 20 years in this business is accumulated a lot of data, and so we understand what the needs are, where the gaps are, okay? And one of the gaps was in being able to do what we call multi-mode, okay? So most lasers were single-mode lasers, or have been single-mode lasers. You load a crystal, you wait for it to finish, you take it out. It's good for the small operator that just wants to do something one at a time, okay? if you wanted to get something that could do multiple crystals, it would generally cost about 5 times the price. Okay, so if a laser is $15,000, you're looking at somewhere close to $100,000 for a laser that would do that, which was way too high, and not necessary if the software was already prepared, which is where we're strong. Okay, so number 1 was creating multi-mode. Number 2 was in being able to cut the burn time in half, so double the speed of the laser. So what happens is that what most people don't understand is that a laser generally burns maximum of around 6 centimeter diameter. If you're talking in circles, it's a 6 centimeter diameter. Okay, so it'll do, if you have a crystal like, for example, this large. Can you see that on my desk there?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have a crystal that large, and let's say that this here is 6 centimeters and that's 6 centimeters. This is a 12 centimeter crystal. So what would happen here is the laser would do the first half and then the second half, and also same on the X, this half and then that half, right? So every time the laser, it's called tiling, every time the laser finishes its tile, it stops. The table has to move, and then it does the next tile. It stops. The laser has to move. It does the next tile. So this takes a lot of time. And so with 3D Laser Box, we've been able to essentially design a technology that the laser swings a full 20 centimeters, forget 12, 20 centimeters without ever having the table move. And because
So it can do the big one behind me on the shelf.
exactly, there you go. So it can do that big one there. So if the laser is able to swing a full 20 centimeters, it means the table doesn't need to move. The table doesn't need to move. It means the laser doesn't need to stop. And if the laser doesn't need to stop mid-burn, then you're able to save a lot of time. So that's essentially why we moved to 3D Laser Box, is the time savings, but essentially also because it allows us to load multiple crystals, multiple shapes, multiple files of different customers, press go, and let it do its thing. Come back a few hours later to unload the laser.
All right, so let's close the loop. So you've got your laser, you've got your multi-mode, you've got your software, you've got your customers, it's Christmas, you've got 1 million orders. How confident can the laser operators out there feel? Because we support, from New Zealand to California and everywhere in between. We've got laser operators all over the world. Are you going to be able to handle the volume? Do we have enough 3D artists? Can we some order 1 hour service where there's rush, especially at Christmas? Are we going to be able to scale? So let's just close the loop, and I'll let you kind of address that.
Well, thanks for that question. It feels great when you start saying that. You're the one that ends up talking to all these people, so you end up traveling the world. And when I hear all these different cities and countries that we're in, the last stat you gave me on yesterday's deck report was all 6 continents are now, using our technology, and I'm like, wow. So it's quite fulfilling. It's a lot of fun to hear that. So
it may not be New Zealand. I just kind of picked something that was as far east as possible.
Oh, I know. We've actually got 2 in New Zealand. You met one of them. I think it was 2 months ago when he
That's right.
he received his 3D laser box and was giving feedback on that. But so what I would say is that in terms of your question on capacity and how comfortable we are, every year we're blown away by the growth. I mean, the growth just continues to scale. So we prepare for it, and I'm very, very confident that we can continue to manage. We continue to train artists. It's a great problem to have. And so anybody that's looking to get our service, try it out. Try the artists out. There's really no risk involved. Speak to Lawrence, and he'll be happy to do a Zoom meeting with you and give you the overview again. That we have lots of videos on YouTube as well. But as far as order capacity, that's how we play the game.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for spending time with me, which you would normally do anyway, but this time we kind of invited the world to our catch-up meeting, which is great. So we'll kind of close things off. So anybody out there, comments please are welcome. Likes, please come back to our channel. We're going to plan to do a few more of these live sessions, and we want your feedback.
Subscribe, like, share, turn notifications on so you know every time we release a new video, or as we did today, decide to go live. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Appreciate it. Take care.
Thank you.